Hello folks, welcome to OTD, also known as On the Deck, where you can get all the sports you need in 10 minutes. My name is Adam Arduna, this is my mom Gina.
He is the journalist.
And she's the enthusiast.
I am enthusiastic. We got a great subject today.
Yes, we do. We're going to talk about the NBA and the NBA All-Star break coming up here this weekend, and it's going to take place in New Orleans. And so we're going to talk about some of the things we're excited about, the lineups, the different skills challenges, the dunk contest, and we're going to just go back and forth a little bit on how we feel about this and some of the controversies that came up previously, and we've talked about that in some of our other episodes as well. But we're going to get into this show and talk about the NBA All-Star break.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. What are the few things that you're really excited about going into this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you, the three big things about this weekend, it's always who's coming, so who made the lineup, then you got the big, the skills challenge, and then you got the actual game. So in order of things that I'm the most excited about, the game is number 3. It is the least thing on my list, the game. It's going to be 200 to 215 at the end of it. But then who made it? I'm always interested in that, but that makes number 2 on my list this year because there's some people I think should have made it. And we'll get into the controversy, but number 1 for me, I'm looking forward to like the skills challenges. I think that's the whole point of having these exhibition breaks and all-star Pro Bowls, this, that, and the third, is really about showing off your skills. So that's what I'm looking for. What's your order?
Sure, yeah. Well, I would probably agree with you. I don't think the game is quite as exciting as some of the other things, so I would probably put that on the 3rd or at the bottom of the list. But I'm interested, I guess, the dunk contest is always fun.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in the Rising Stars challenges because that's really where you get a chance to see the young guys in the league showcase their skills.
Is that the D-League guys?
Well, there is a D-League selection as well. There's a D-League All-Star game played, but there's a Rising Star challenges with the rookies and the sophomores of the league. That's always what's interesting to me. One of the big names that's not playing in that is actually Joel Embiid, former KU Jayhawk. He's actually been in the news for, he's had a knee injury for a good part of the year, but he was just seen on stage at one of the Philadelphia clubs dancing and partying.
And he was cutting up too. He was doing a step.
Into the offices and was questioned about why he was up there dancing and hanging out instead of being at home resting. And his excuse was, "I'm just out here living my life." So it wasn't a very good look by him.
No,
and it's like a lot of people are behind him because they want him to really take this franchise to the next level, and they don't really know what his commitment level is. So that's one of those disappointing things as far as the All-Star game, because I really think he would really show out in this game. But the All-Star Challenge, or the Rising Star Challenges for me, I think is the number 1. Then the dunk contest, number 2. And then the actual game itself would be number 3.
Well, I put on there who's coming because I mean, like the game, whatever, we're not talking about. But I think who made the All-Star game, I think that's something really, I'm going to start with who's missing. My boy Chris Paul isn't going to be there, CP3. And Dwayne Wade, your best friend, your former roommate, your cousin, D. Wade. Okay, he's not none of those things, but we love D. Wade. And for me to see this kind of transition period where D. Wade's not at the All-Star game, I mean, let me ask you this. Do you think he'll show up? Like, he's obviously not playing.
Yeah, he'll show up. I mean, all the guys that don't get selected or that don't go, a lot of the times they just go to hang out because they're there. Yeah, and so
I don't know how I feel about it. It's like, if I don't get invited to the prom, would I show up just to see the fashion?
Well, I think initially he was on the list to go and selected, but I think he might have turned it down. And so I think he just is injured. His back's been hurting. His knees, he's older and he isn't a starter. And so it's one of those situations where it's like, well, if I'm not going to start and if my minutes may be limited in the first place, I'll probably just elect to not go and let somebody else go ahead and take the reins. So
that's nice.
I think he may go just to hang out, but I'm not sure. I think you may see him on the sidelines with some of the other guys, because I think CP3 might be down there too. Well,
we talked about already the controversy with Russell Westbrook being selected but not being a starter for the West. I think that hopefully that's been put to bed at this point.
Yeah.
I definitely understand what people were upset about, but to me, if you're trying to replace somebody, it's not Steph Curry. You might want to look at Kawhi Leonard, but he's doing his thing too. Everybody can't be a starter. There's 5 starters. That's all there is. You get 5 starters, there you go.
Well, if we'll go down the list of the Western Conference starters, we've got Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Anthony Davis for the West. And then for the East, the starters are Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then we've got Jimmy Butler. So there's a pretty good starting lineup right there. And then as far as the reserves, the people that are coming off the bench, for the Eastern Conference, we've got Isaiah Thomas, John Wall, Kevin Love, who actually we'll talk about that in just a second.
Yeah, we will. Put a pin in that.
Lowry, Paul George, Kemba Walker, and Paul Millsap. And then for the Western Conference reserves, we've got Russell Westbrook, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins, Marc Gasol, DeAndre Jordan, and Gordon Hayward. So, again, that's another good group of guys who weren't selected to be starters, but they're still at the game, and they still get a chance to showcase and show out. And so,
Blake Griffin wasn't on eBay's list. Right. I mean, there are stars who aren't on this list, so people need to chill out about, who's starting. Right. But I do think we need to talk about Kevin Love because he's not going. We just found out he had a major knee issue, meniscus tear, or something like that.
I think it was his. I think he actually had it was his knee or back.
It was something bad, but he's going to be out till basically for the rest of the regular season. So taking his place is Carmelo Anthony. And the irony of that is that there's been trade rumors about the Knicks and the Cavaliers trying to trade Kevin Love for Carmelo, and that kind of got shot down. I don't know. I don't think Melo's going anywhere. But guess what? He's getting traded right now because Melo's playing in the All-Star game instead of Love, which I think is hilarious.
Yes, it's very ironic how that ended up working out. Good for Carmelo for being able to fill in for Kevin Love. And so hopefully he gets to enjoy himself down there in New Orleans. I think a big story that needs to be talked about is the fact that it is in New Orleans this year. Originally, it wasn't scheduled to be in New Orleans. It was supposed to be in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Right.
But with a lot of the political news coming out, with a lot of the transgender issues within this nation and people sharing bathrooms with the transgender people and the LGBT community, and it's really been a big deal. And so North Carolina has rules in place with a lot of the bathroom issues, and so people don't feel comfortable with showcasing their sports or their all-star games or having big events there, and so they moved it to New Orleans. And I think New Orleans is going to benefit greatly from this all-star game. It's a big deal because this is a city that needs it. And hopefully they can enjoy themselves and have a good time.
Well, let me say this too about that. And we intentionally didn't do a show about this topic, but I do want to say I'm very proud of the NBA. And there's another sidebar about the NFL and Texas, because Texas is considering a similar law. They are not banning LGBT people. They're not saying you can't be a transgendered. What they're saying is that if you have to use the public restroom, that you have to go into a public restroom that matches the gender on your birth certificate. So it's a complex issue. But what the NBA said is if you're going to discriminate, and they believe the law is discriminatory, we're not going to bring revenue and basically co-sign and say we're going to celebrate in a place that is being divisive and subjugating people. And I really appreciate that about the NBA. Well, however you feel about the law, but to me, especially being a woman and a person of color, when there were places that had Jim Crow laws in place, I would appreciate anybody saying, look, we're not bringing our big event to the South if you guys have Jim Crow laws in place.
Right.
And to me, it's the same thing. It's an activist stance, and I appreciate it about the NBA. So back to New Orleans. We've been to the Big Easy. We were there 1 year ago.
Yes.
And it was a good time.
It's a great party town. It's a great time for all the reasons of the parades in the streets, the music.
All year long.
All year long.
All year long.
It's raining one part of the day, and then it's sunny and 85 the next. And so you get everything within one day. It's a great time to be out there. Especially in the spring where it's not super hot.
Right.
Well, it's not even spring. It's spring to us right now because of how beautiful it is outside. But this is probably a decent time to be down there when the humidity isn't just completely through the roof. And they could really use it. And I think it will really benefit that city. They're still recovering from Katrina. And there's going to be a lot of fun and fun things going on down there.
Okay, well, let's switch gears. Are you interested more in the three-point shootout or the dunk contest?
Well, I think it's a little bit off this year because two major players in both of those contests aren't playing or aren't participating. Steph Curry's not participating in the three-point contest, and Zach LaVine is also not participating in the dunk contest. Both of those were NBA or former champions of those contests, and they're not taking place. Zach LaVine has a torn ACL, so he's out for the season, and Steph Curry is just electing to not participate. But there's still going to be some good players.
Steph looks thick. Can we talk about that? Steph Curry has put on some weight, but in a good way, not like my kind of weight. I'm talking about like muscular.
Right.
Because Steph is so lithe and skinny and all that. I looked at Steph the other day. We've been watching a lot of basketball. Steph, like whoever his trainer is, like I feel like he's put on some muscle.
Yeah, he's been hitting the gym, and that's good. He needs to put a little bit more muscle mass on, and he's been doing that. He's been working hard. No, I think it'll be fun to watch those guys. I don't know how you're going to top last year's dunk contest because that was epic in its own right, and three-point contest is always down to the wire, so it's going to be fun. So
it'll be a good time. I'm excited for it too.
Yes.
And listen, let's just all there's a whole lot of controversy in the NBA. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
As soon as KD went to the Warriors, we should have known it was going to be a season.
Right.
You got issues with Draymond coming out talking about the Knicks are a hot mess. Everybody's trading and this, that, and the third. This is a time to actually celebrate. You said it last week. The NBA couldn't get to New Orleans and this break fast enough.
Yes, this is a good time for the NBA right now to kind of relax and take a deep breath.
Hit the reset button. Deep reset.
We will be closely watching this weekend. We got the skills challenges. We've got the D-League All-Star game. We've got all of the rookie, sophomore game. We've got all the other events going around town, and so it's going to be really fun. And
okay, not that it matters, but who's going to win, the East or the West?
Well, I think, to be honest, I think the West is going to win. I think they've got a lot of great players on their roster. I think the East has a lot of good players as well. I'm actually more excited to see the reserves play on the East side than the starters for the East. But,
you're more impressed with who's coming off the bench?
I love Isaiah Thomas and all those other guys that are coming off the bench, so it's going to be really fun.
Oh, I know what. I wanted to talk about Isaiah Thomas. I guess we'll have to do that on the next show because that guy is balling. He's putting up ridiculous kind of numbers.
He is. He's doing great, and I would love to see him win the NBA MVP, to be quite honest.
He should definitely be in the conversation.
To always win it, but we'll see what happens there. But continue to follow us on all of our social media. Type in my name, Adam Orduner, for YouTube. Please like our page on Facebook. Type in OTD. Follow us on our Twitter handles, CJRepass_OTD, and type in OTD_on the deck. We'll continue to give you more sports updates daily.
Thanks for joining us, folks.
And we want to say we appreciate your time, and see you next time, folks.